Rise of the Elements will introduce new emergent gameplay opportunities on the map, meant to open fresh strategies to master, outplay, and win. The biggest change here is the new elemental rift system. As teams take down elemental drakes, one element will eventually dominate the rift, permanently altering the map.
Hey guys, Bones here. So today we're going to be talking about the various things that Riot has announced for the upcoming year, essentially. It's quite a bit to cover. They've announced probably more than they have in ever, really, in terms of all at once. So it's a quick overview. We're going to talk about first this. They did mention, let's start with Summoner's Rift. You know, it's a good place to start. So coming up in the next season, we're going to it seems like the major change. Previous seasons we had gimmicks added like, blast cone plants. And I guess technically this whole elemental dragon system itself, that's getting something of a tweak, it looks like. So when you kill different dragons, it actually alters how the map works. So it's getting rid of terrain. It'll add terrain. Stuff like that. And aside from that, they don't talk about it in this video specifically, but in their longer live stream, when they went into slightly more detail, there's also talking about how the actual buffs themselves are getting changed, most likely just number changes, or for example, Air Dragon is giving like CDR on ults and stuff like that. But aside from that, Elder Dragon is now allegedly going to give some kind of execute buff. Also, before we get any further, just to be clear, none of this is currently on the PvE or anything like that. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be available on the 22nd, so about a week from now. Same patch as when Senna is going to be available, which they kind of talk about later. But I already released a video separate on Senna, so I'm not going to talk about it here. So moving forward, the other big things they were talking about were the Team Tight Tactics thing and their seasonal character set. So they're going to be rotating characters in and out and have different, I guess, like classes and all that kind of stuff. They've been talking about that kind of thing since the very beginning. So they're finally going to go ahead and do that, it sounds like. Also, there's going to be a mobile version of the game, which is allegedly supposed to be compatible with the actual game, which makes sense. There's not a lot of mechanical blah, blah, blah. So there shouldn't be too much of an advantage for anyone in that department there. However, the thing they do talk about next, the Wild Rift. So the easier version of LoL, I suppose, for mobile and console. So I imagine, yeah, this one is a totally separate game. And then, it's not like you can play against people on regular League of Legends on the actual Summoner's Rift. This is a totally separate thing where it's supposed to be a faster game mode that's supposed to last only about 15-20 minutes per game, something like that. And just given your control scheme, it's going to play out fairly differently, but it'll play differently. So I don't know if I'm going to be trying this one. I don't really have a phone to play it on. I guess I do, sort of, but I'm not much of a mobile gamer, as it were. Like, I don't know, maybe I can try it on the PS4 if it's going to come to the PS4. I don't know what consoles it's going to be on. But anyway, if you like console MOBAs and mobile stuff, hey, there you go. Okay, coming up next, so this is kind of interesting. Riot Games is actually announcing multiple games. Officially, they kind of talked about an FPS, a card game, which is actually coming out very soon. I think some people already have beta access. You can actually see people playing it on Twitch right now. And a fighting game. But they also did show this one other weird thing. So if we do this kind of sequentially, well, sort of sequentially, if you kind of move ahead here, there's something that looks kind of like an action RPG. People were saying, like, I was looking at the chat at the time, people were screaming MMORPG, but who knows what this thing is. You can just kind of see a Blitzcrank-like thing flailing its arms around, and there's like an Ezreal-like thing moving around. So that's the one where there's like no info on. They didn't say anything about it, which was strange. And of course, there's the card game. There's the most info out on that right now. Since there is so much info on it, I did release a separate video for that, so you can check that out on my channel. Things that there are slightly less info on here is at about the 117 mark. We see a fighting game, so a tiny bit of gameplay. I'm at this point fairly familiar with fighting games. I spent about the last year and a half kind of sinking my teeth into them fairly heavily there. So hopefully this one's good. I enjoy fighting games. So we'll see. There's like, if you look at this screenshot here, if you look at this image here, it looks like it's pretty early in development. This looks pretty rough. So I imagine this, it's not indicative of a final product or anything. We see Darius there. We see Darius multiple times, so maybe he's the most complete character. The development team people, the lead, I don't know, whoever it was they had talking, the guy himself said, okay, we're going to announce a little bit here, but it's so early in development that we're just not going to say anything for a long while. We'll see you later, kind of thing. So we'll see what happens with that. Actually, coming up here there is a little bit of information on an FPS. So it comes up actually in a few seconds. So I'm just going to turn the volume on and let you guys listen to what the FPS stuff is about. It's basically League of Legends Overwatch, pretty much, but that's what it seems like anyway.
From a new camera angle.
Project A is our character-based tactical shooter. It's competitive, it has precise gunplay, it's set on a beautiful near-future Earth, and it has a lethal cast of characters, each with their own unique abilities. We're keeping the fundamentals that make this genre so competitive, but also bringing some new additions.
And before we wrap, we'd like to share a glimpse into
one last thing, there's a cartoon. You get to see a bit of a clip of it here. I'll duck out. Alright, so there's that. They had to show you Jinx's feet at the end to assure you that they will be your favorite characters or whatever in this little cartoon thing. Now, the version they showed on stream, again, was much longer. Everything here was kind of truncated for YouTube, which it serves our purposes, or at least my purposes, to kind of recap everything. So there's a lot of stuff going on out there. Should be a lot coming up in 2020, and potentially even beyond, because maybe the fighting game sounds like it's not going to be ready next year, for 2020. Whatever that action RPG thing is, whenever that's going to, or rather if anything comes of that, I'm going to guess it's not going to be next year. And, oh, I forget, I don't think I mentioned this, but the Wild Rift thing, the console mobile thing for League of Legends, that's going to be allegedly available in most, if not all, regions by the end of 2020. So I don't know if that means it's a slow rollout across multiple regions, or it's just like we're dropping it everywhere towards the end of 2020. We'll find out, I suppose. So yeah, again, in addition to what we talked about here, there was also a big card game thing coming soon. Again, there's so much info on that it had got its own separate video. Same deal with Senna, who I guess there's not a lot of info on her, but she's a new League of Legends champion who should be available on the 25th of next week. So next week is probably going to be a pretty busy week for me here. I'll be making all kinds of, the video stuff and letting you know what's going on, because, I got a PB account. I may as well test it up for you guys. So anyway, quick recap video of everything that'll be happening here real soon. Thanks for watching, and look forward to bringing everyone more information when it becomes available. Goodbye.